There is a unique kind of violence in a postcard. It takes a living, breathing, chaotic ecosystem of millions of souls and flattens it into a single, sterile frame. It edits out the noise, the exhaust, the grit, and the human friction, leaving behind an idealized fragment. And no city on earth has been more violently flattened by the postcard than Paris. For centuries we have treated this specific coordinate on the map not as a piece of geography, but a collective psychological sanctuary. We have built an imaginary metropolis of endless golden hour walks, pristine limestone boulevards, and quiet, melancholic romance. But a physical city cannot inhabit a myth. Today, we step past the frame to look at what happens to the human psyche when the perfect reality we built inside our minds finally collides with the unyielding, beautiful mess of the real world. In psychology, there is a documented medical phenomenon known as Paris syndrome. It primarily affects travelers who arrive here harboring an intensely romanticized, hyper-curated vision of the city. When they step off the train and are immediately confronted by the aggressive reality, the subterranean stench of the metro, the cold anonymity of the crowds, the trash piling on the sidewalks, and the language barriers, the brain experiences a profound cognitive dissonance. The psychological shock is so severe it can manifest physically: dizziness, hallucinations, and anxiety. But Paris syndrome isn't actually about Paris. It is a diagnostic mirror for a deeper human fragility. It is the acute, painful trauma that occurs whenever our imagination is forced to surrender to the real. We don't just mourn the city we are looking at, we mourn the loss of the perfect feeling we expected it to give us. The irony is that the Paris we idolize was actually engineered to be a filter. In the mid-19th century, Baron Haussmann tore down the medieval heart of the city, demolishing the narrow, chaotic, unpredictable alleyways where revolutions were born. In their place, he poured massive, uniform stone boulevards. It was a massive act of urban plastic surgery, designed to enforce order, control the public, and create a visually synchronized masterpiece. Haussmann built an architecture of distance. The sheer scale of these grand boulevards creates an intentional physical separation between the observer and the street. It is an environment designed to be admired from a balcony, not lived in from the dirt. When you walk these streets, the perfect symmetry can feel deeply alienating. It is a sterile perfection that doesn't care if you are lonely inside of it. Every pristine surface demands a hidden space to hold its waste, its history, and its ghosts. Directly beneath the elegant limestone boulevards and luxury boutiques lies a parallel, labyrinthine, dark network. Thousands of miles of old quarry tunnels, abandoned metro tracks, and the resting places of 6 million dead. This is the psychological shadow of Paris. You cannot have a city of absolute, curated elegance without creating a massive underbelly to support the illusion. The human mind operates the exact same way. We spend immense energy polishing our external facades, curating our lives, our aesthetics, and our social masks to look like a Parisian boulevard. But the more rigid and perfect the surface becomes, the more crowded and dark the catacombs of our subconscious mind grow. True peace doesn't come from pretending the underground doesn't exist. It comes from learning to walk in both. Why do we continue to defend the illusion? Why do we get angry when reality breaks the spell? Because romance is the world's most profitable commodity. Paris has been systematically packaged and sold back to us as a product. The souvenir stands, the curated Instagram cafes with their wicker chairs turned toward the street, the artificial lighting of the monuments. It is all a hyper-reality designed to keep the myth alive. We are complicit in the trap. We arrive with our cameras pre-focused, actively tilting our lenses to exclude the unhoused person on the corner, the graffiti on the historic arch, and the smog over the river. We edit the city in real time because we are terrified to admit that the product we bought doesn't match the advertisement. The true tragedy of idolizing a place is that it prevents us from actually loving it. When you demand that a city or a person remain flawless, you are not loving them, you are simply loving your own imagination. Paris is not a postcard. It is a fierce, complex, working-class metropolis of millions of people who are fighting, working, making art, and surviving inside its ancient grid. When you finally let the illusion die, when you accept the wet trash on the cobblestones, the indifference of the crowds, and the grime on the stone, something beautiful happens. The myth vanishes, and the real city finally appears. Stop looking for the Paris of your dreams. Look at the one standing right in front of you. It is flawed, it is heavy, and it is entirely alive. And that is the only version that can ever actually love you back.